little fight on the landing ground.
Thank you for joining us. You are listening to A Radio, and this is the Morning Moment. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. I've entitled this piece, I've Seen True Evil, and its face is Liberal. Its face is Democrat. Its face is Labour. I want to be very plain and unambiguous about this. I have highlighted 3 people I know of that their actions tell me only one thing. I believe these people are evil. Let me explain. The 3 that I've highlighted, 2 of them have power right now to do a great deal of damage. The first one is easy for me to talk about. Trudeau. Trudeau, whilst on the surface appears to be a lovable fuzzball, is in reality a cold, calculating and ruthless individual who cares nothing for the citizens he claims to represent. Rather, he enforces his undemocratic policies on his fellow countrymen, and telling them it's for their own good, while the very opposite is the case. He is actually willfully destroying the country he represents by undermining its very structure, leaving everyday citizens by the wayside. An evil individual who cares about nothing and no one, just power. The second is probably a bit more familiar to you. Senator Schumer, who stands in the way of Donald Trump. He lies and is deceitful at every turn, claims he supports the government, but in fact blocks every aspect of it. The phrase I use for all these evil people is their priority, and it goes like this. Number 1, person. Number 2, party. Number 3, country. He cares nothing of the damage and chaos he creates, just the power he thinks he holds and yearns for. Power for him, his party, at the expense of his country. He cares nothing for the citizens that he represents, or the country he lives in. Someone who is in that position is, in my mind, evil. Finally, I want to bring to your attention probably the most unknown character outside of the UK. His name is Jeremy Corbyn. I have done a piece on him. I've done quite a few pieces on him and will continue to do pieces on him. He is currently the leader of the UK Labour Party, which is the official opposition in the UK, which sounds rather innocuous, but that's the point. The Labour Party used to be swimming with hidden communists in the 80s and 90s, but they were nearly all routed out, with one large exception, this guy. He is a communist. He does not believe that the UK should have nuclear weapons. He does not believe in capitalism. He does not believe that wealthy citizens should keep their money, rather that the state should have it. Little primer for you. In the 50s, 60s and 70s, Britain suffered terribly under successive socialist governments, which brought greater and greater government control on people's lives and greater poverty. Their answer was more control, more means of control of production, of wealth, which is pure communism. Britain escaped this yoke in 1979 and never looked back. This guy is an out-and-out communist who is the face of pure evil, and if he gains power, and he stands a good chance of doing so, will plunge Britain's 62 million citizens into depression and despair. That's the real modern definition of despair, taking over large swathes of British industry in the blind faith that the state knows better. These are just 3 faces of evil in my mind, and yes, there are many more, because evil takes many forms. You can find more at aradio.wordpress.com, where you can find links to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Gab and email. We are continuing to reach out to you, so please pass on the links. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. You can listen to all my morning moments at Spreaker.com under A Radio, that's EHRADIO, A Radio, and please click on the like button. And you can find all my podcasts and morning moments at aradio.wordpress.com and click on the Morning Moments tab.